right, we are going to start a new story, and it is called Detective Camp. It's an A to Z mystery, so we're going to have those characters that we're familiar with Josh and Dink and Ruth Rose. So I wonder what they're going to be involved with this time around. Hmm. So here we go. It's a little map of where they're going to be. Okay. Chapter 1. Here you are, kids, the taxi driver told Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose. Get out, stretch your legs, and I'll fetch your luggage. The kids stepped out of the taxi in Bear Walk, Vermont. They were standing next to a gravel driveway in front of an old lodge built of timber. A banner over the wide porch said, Welcome to Detective Camp. Behind the lodge stood a red barn with doors open wide. Dink noticed a few picnic tables on the lawn between the lodge and the barn. Across from the driveway stood three log cabins surrounded by wildflowers, shrubs, and trees. Off to the side of the cabins stood a larger building. Dink noticed a sign that said Wash House. White arrows pointed boys to one door and girls to another. So it's kind of like the bathroom. Where are we supposed to sleep? Josh asked. Like Dink, he wore cut off jeans, shorts, and a t shirt. Didn't you read the letter? Dink asked, winking at Ruth Rose. Josh Pinto sleeps in a bear cave. Dink's full name was Donald David Duncan, but his friends called him Dink. Josh didn't say anything, but he made a goofy face at Dink. In those cabins, I guess, said Ruth Rose, pointing. I see some other kids over there. Ruth Rose liked to dress all in one color. Today she wore pink from her headband to her sneakers. Tell me again why we're in Bear Walk, Vermont, Josh said, glancing around. I'll bet there are bears everywhere. We came to detective camp because we love solving mysteries, Ruth Rose said. Besides, none of us has been to sleepaway camp before. It'll be fun. We'll learn all about. Yo! Someone yelled. The kids looked toward the cabins. Three teenagers were walking toward them. They each wore a white t shirt with detective camp on the front and green shorts. Whistles hung from lanyards around their necks. Are you kids from Green Lawn, Connecticut? A tall boy with a buzz cut added. Yes, Dink said. I'm Dink. And these are my friends, Josh and Ruth Rose. I'm Buzzy Steele, the boy said, smiling. You two guys are in my cabin, the one with the moose over the door. And I'm Angie Doe, the girl said. She had red hair and pigtails. Ruth Rose, you're in Fox cabin with me. You'll have 9 roommates. The other boy had broad shoulders and dark skin. I'm Lucas Washington, he said. Call me Luke. I have Bear Cabin with 8 more guys. How many kids are here altogether? Dink asked. 26, Angie said. 16 boys and 10 girls. The taxi driver handed the kids packs and sleeping bags to them. Have a good time, he said, getting back into the taxi. Then he turned the cab around and pulled away. Let's get you kids into the cabins, Luke said, reaching for an armful of sleeping bags. Everyone else got here this morning. They followed the 3 counselors onto the lawn. Stone paths led up to each of the 3 small porches. After you get unpacked, we're all meeting down by Shady Lake, Angie told the kids. About 20 minutes, okay? Just follow this path and the lake will be right in front of you. Ready to meet your cabin mates, Ruth Rose? Yes, Ruth Rose said. See you later, guys. She followed Angie into a cabin with a wooden cutout of a fox over the door. Later, Luke said. He loped next door. Buzzy led Dink and Josh through a door with a moose cut out over it. Inside the cabin, 6 boys were reading and playing board games. A shelf in one corner was overflowing with books and games. Dink counted 4 sets of bunk beds. Near the door was a single bed. Dink assumed that was where Buzzy would sleep. Yo, guys, listen up, Buzzy yelled. Come and meet Dink and Josh from Connecticut. 6 boys turned toward Dink and Josh. They smiled and one by one introduced themselves and shook hands. Dink tried to remember the 6 new names and faces. So here's what their cabin looks like. It's kind of interesting. This here's Buzzy. He's their counselor, and they're the bunk beds and the bookshelf and games, and they're playing their things and doing all kinds of fun stuff. So here are Dink and Josh coming into their new cabin. So Dink tried to remember the 6 new names and faces. A black-haired boy named Billy Wong, a thin kid with braces called Hunter, Ian and Brendan, twins with blonde hair so light it appeared white, Duke, a tall boy, and Campbell, a short blonde kid with a big smile. If you need to wash up or use the bathroom, that's all in the big building on the other side of Fox Cabin, Buzzy told the boys. We have to go outside to the bathroom? Josh asked. Buzzy nodded. Yep, the showers are there too, he said, and don't let the hot water run too long or someone gets a cold shower. You all need to be down at Shady Lake in about 10 minutes, okay? Are we going swimming? Hunter asked. Are there snakes in the water? No, and yes, Buzzy said, grinning. There are a few harmless water snakes, but we're not going swimming today. We're just having a meeting with all the other campers. Dink and Josh headed for the only set of bunks not piled up with the other kids' stuff. I guess this one is ours, Dink said. Top or bottom? Top, Josh said, tossing his sleeping bag up onto the mattress. That way, if a bear comes in, he gets you first. Dink grinned. Bears can climb, Josh, he said. I'll take the top bunk, Josh said. He grabbed his backpack and climbed the ladder. Dink unrolled his sleeping bag and fluffed up the pillow he found on his mattress. As he emptied his backpack, he glanced out the window. Just over his bed, he could see a wooden fence separating the lawn from deep woods. He arranged his clothes in a cubby that already had his name on it. He set his toothbrush and other toilet articles on the windowsill. He'd brought a couple of books, which he stood next to his toothpaste. The titles were Wild Animals of Vermont and Danny Dune, Boy Detective. Josh was on top, wrestling with his sleeping bag. Are you ready? Dink asked. Almost, Josh said. My brothers used the sleeping bag last, and they tied about 1,000,000 knots in the string. Okay, let's hustle, Buzzy called out. Moose Cabin is never late. Now let's go, little moosies. The other 6 boys stampeded out the cabin door and raced for the path that led to the lake. A minute later, Buzzy followed them. Dink waited for Josh on the porch. Josh snuck up behind Dink and said, Come back inside. I want to show you something. What? Dink said as he followed. Come on, we're going to be late on our first day. Look, Josh said. He was pointing to a small wooden chest under Buzzy's bed. It has a hasp, and the padlock was in the locked position. You see the chest down there? That's what they're talking about. Josh, what do I care if after the other kids left, I saw Buzzy hide something in there, Josh said. He was real careful, like he didn't want anyone to see what he was doing. But Josh, the snoop, saw him, right? Dink asked. Josh nodded. This is a detective camp, right? He said. Well, I'm being a detective.